I was 13 years old, so at least 20 years. And that was a joke. I'm old. No, I'm 49, so I think I still look pretty good. And I started when I was 13. And I knew when I was like 4 or 5 years old that I wanted to be a performer. I'm sure there are other performers in this crowd, you know, like when it's in you to perform or be an artist or whatever you're passionate about, that's what I came knowing I could do. And I always did funny voices. My sister and I had our own little fake radio station, and like every pet had a voice, every toy had a voice. And it was just something I was good at, but I begged my parents to get me an agent. I grew up in Toronto, and they finally did when I was 13. And my first job was Hello Kitty. And she had a mouth. She had a mouth.
Hello Kitty's Fairy Tale Theater is proud to present The Wizard of Paws.
That was my first job, and the rest is history.
Now, I'm probably taking a couple questions. I'm going to ask 1 or 2 questions up front, and then I'm going to unleash on you guys, because if you've ever seen me before here at Comic-Con Revolution, I'm one of the laziest moderators out there, because I really want you to ask as many questions, and so that way I can just sit here and, you know, listen. Because we have such a great person with all the voices that you do. But I think there's a lot of kids out there. How did you get started at 12 or 13? I mean, is there something that parents, that you should, any advice you would give young kids, or especially their parents? Because kids will do it if you let them do anything.
Well, I would say that if your kid comes to you at an early age and says this is something they want to do, believe them. But also not force your kid to be that if you want your kid to be famous just because they're cute. Because people that are like forced into this business have a lot of resentments because it's not an easy business. Hollywood in general is a business that doesn't really care how good looking you are, how hard you work, how many classes you take. So much of success in Hollywood is based on serendipitous moments about the right time and the right place. Like, I don't know that had I not booked, you know, Batgirl at the same time as Bubbles, at the same time as 101 episodes of 101 Dalmatians, like, I know that Hollywood would have been like, oh, who's this girl? Like, finally taking notice. But there's like some magical thing that happens that propels you, and so the rest of it is a lot of rejection. And it's really hard, and I know the most amazing, beautiful, talented people that never get a break.
Yeah, I was going to say some of the most talented people in the world you guys don't even know of.
Right, and it doesn't matter how good they are or how badly they want to work. In other businesses, if you really want to be a dentist and you work really hard, you could be a dentist. It doesn't matter how hard you work, it's not guaranteed success. So it's challenging. So let me just say that, because I also really hate when businesses take advantage of hopefuls and say, oh, we can guarantee you work, give us $10,000. No, nobody can guarantee you work. No one should ever pay to audition. There's a lot of nefarious people, so I just want to put that out there. Yeah, so there's the bad side first.
A lot of pay for these headshots only through us. Pay for this through us.
Right. You have to ask people that know. And then, so my parents did not know anything about the entertainment business. The closest thing is I had a grandfather who was a cantor in a synagogue. That was like the closest thing to a performer. And I was like begging them to get me an agent, which they finally did. And thankfully they found Butler Rusted Bell, who was my agent at 13 and is still my agent today. I just went back to Toronto to shoot a show called Pretty Hard Cases. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Yeah. I play a drug dealer. And they're still my agent, so it's just, that was like a serendipitous move.
Wow, I guess between you and Christina Hendricks, the drug dealers are getting much more attractive.
Yeah, the chicks run the show.
There you go. You also are prolific and unbelievably talented in the fact that you have somewhere around 600 different voice credits or voices that you do. How do you remember the voice? Because you don't, it's not like you will do Harley Quinn and then you never do anything again. 6 months, a year, 5 years down the road, they're like, oh, we're coming out with a new game, we need Harley Quinn. How do you find that voice again, especially some of the more obscure ones that you've done? So
basically when I get to play a character, I become that character for the moments that I'm acting as that character. So I, in my mind, visualize everything they're going through so that it translates. If I was just reading off a paper, you guys wouldn't care. You care because there's something that I'm doing when I'm reading that makes you feel like you're a part of it. And you're right, I'm totally sharing my energy with you guys, and it's like this beautiful shared, like, feel-good energy around the world, right? People at cons, generally the nicest, kindest people. You guys coming out to support us, when, like I said, Hollywood they can take you and leave you. They'll replace you in a second if someone will do it for cheaper. The fans are like what make this. So like, thank you guys so much. It's so important. So, so with that said, when you play a character, they live inside my brain, and when it's their turn to come out and play, they do. I'm a crazy person. Basically. And I don't have a problem remembering that. That's why I keep moving. If I've already done it a lot, then I don't have a problem like jumping back in.
Sure.
If it's something like, you know, boy number 2 on a Fairly Odd Parents episode 12, season 7, I have no idea what I did. So that if they really wanted it to sound like that, their engineers have everything recorded. They'll play it back for you.
Okay.
So if you don't know it, or if you went from audition to booking the job, because sometimes at your audition, I talk really fast, Tom.
It's okay.
I'm from New York, you sound fine to me.
So sometimes for an audition, I'll send like 3 or 4 different takes, and then they'll say, oh, we really like 2. Okay, they'll play back for me which one that was. So sometimes there's a reminder, and then with that said, sometimes there's a tweak. You know, Harley in a very serious adult game is going to sound different than Harley on the DC Girls. So I have to learn how to put the essence of that character in whatever world I'm existing in at that point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, because I know that there's a lot of nostalgia, so there's a lot of things that people have been doing 20, 30 years ago are now becoming more relevant, and I know like Ewan McGregor he said it took him 3 or 4 months to find Obi-Wan again, because it was just, you know, the voice of Obi-Wan, because he just hasn't been doing it. It's not his natural voice.
And he's not as genius as me, I guess.
So,
Jump right in.
So
He needs 4 months.
Yeah. He's just a...
Don't put that on the internet.
Those live action actors, they don't know what they're doing. The voiceover actors are where the true acting comes through.
Of course.
My last one is a voiceover question, and then I'm going to move on to you guys. And so get your questions ready. Make sure that they're appropriate. We don't want any political questions, nothing too personal. Just we want to have fun here this weekend, so just have really cool questions, really great questions, and then project when I call on you. But you've had to take over voices. Harley Quinn is one that Arlene Sorkin was doing. Now, they didn't want you to do a carbon copy, but how do you do a voice like that where you can still pay respect to the original person but yet make it your own? Because, you know, I find that kind of difficult, because when you want to be Harley Quinn, and you might do it completely differently, but you still want to pay homage because people have been watching the show.
And again, that'll go based on what the director tells you, based on what everyone in production wants. So if everyone in production says we want it to have a hint of the original Harley, that's what you give them. I haven't seen the new series because I'm pissed it's not me, but I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what she's doing. She's probably not doing me. She's probably just doing her own voice, right? She's just doing
Close.
her own voice?
Yeah, she's doing her own voice with a little...
So they didn't tell her, like, do it like the original. And for the record, it was really hard to step into those boots because Arlene, the character was created for her. It is her essence, and she's never, ever not done brilliance with it. So those are some big boots to fill. She's beloved for all the right reasons. She's like a lovely, lovely human, super talented, and she is Harley. So, A, that was terrifying.
Yeah, so
what
how long did it take?
Like, why are you doing that now? I get it. And also because once you become a character, and once you become loved as that character, then the fans love you as that character, and then you love being that character, and then suddenly you're not that character because some business deal or some executive says, hey, we need Brad Pitt in that movie, and like you're like, what? And it's like, oh no! It's like shaky ground.
So how long did it take you to feel comfortable as Harley Quinn, knowing that Arlene did such a great job with it?
I honestly didn't know until, help me, what's Arkham City or Arkham Knight first?
City.
Okay.
City.
So
that was the second of the Arkham Asylum games.
okay,
I
so
love comics. The nerds come out
Yeah,
and
they know
everything.
everything. They know everything.
I love it.
So they just told me they wanted something different for Harley, but honoring what she did. So that's what I tried to do. That's what I hope the fans love. But I didn't know they were going to until Comic-Con that year, and Harley was on a building. Like the entire building was Harley, and like another building was Batman, and it was like so cool. And I was like, oh my God, like it's such a big deal to step into these shoes. I hope people like it. And people were really nice online, like immediately, so.
No, fantastic. I love those games. So.
Stress, imagine that pressure, like, oh my God, what if people hate me?
Well,
It could happen.
well, thankfully you're in a room full of people that it's not going to be a problem.
That's true.
So, if you have a question, put your hand up, and then I will point and kind of tell, differentiate. I'm going to start way in the back because you guys got here early, but I'm going to start with that young gentleman in the back in the corner. Did you do something wrong? Why are you in the corner? So, speak loud.
What's your favorite voice?
Uh-oh.
Good question.
What's your favorite voice, Mr. Casey?
So my favorite job that I ever did was Melody from The Little Mermaid 2. Yeah. Oh, right? So cute. For a moment,
All of me is alive and at home in the sea. I'm swirling and twirling so graceful and grand, not stubbing my toes, getting stuck in the sand.
It was so cool to sing that with Jodie Benson right in front of me. I was like, I'm singing with her. Like that, I totally fangirled that day. So I could have died the next day. Thankfully, I didn't. I got
You
2
wouldn't be
more
here.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
But she's like my ultimate favorite character. But in terms of like characters that are fun to do, it would be really hard to choose between like Raven, Bubbles, Timmy. Like those are like Harley. Like those are really fun characters to play. I don't know that I could pick a favorite.
Is there one that is I want to say not stressful, but the one that's the most unique on your voice? Because that's one of the things that you try not to do in auditions is go too crazy, because if they like it, you could tear up your voice.
No, probably the most stressful voice I ever did was Terrence from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Because he was always mean all the time. So it was like there was never a break from that gravel, and he was always so forced and angry. He was not a nice child. So that was probably the most vocally taxing.
Yeah, because I'm thinking poor Mark Hamill, that's one of the reasons he's like, I gotta...
He seems to have a lot of that gravel by nature.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched him do Joker in the booth many times, and yes, I want to die every time. It's like he really does become the Joker. It's like in him. It doesn't seem like vocally stressful in any way. It's just he's transformed into this incredible character.
Well, he has said that it has been pretty stressful for him. It was one of those, he's found ways to manage it, obviously, because he's been doing it for so long, but it's one of those, it's like, as he gets older, it's just like...
He surprised me because he looks like, he makes it look easy. He does.
Well, I'm going to go with this gentleman because you helped me out in a pinch.
Oh, thank you there. My name's Jonathan, and I wanted to say happy 5th anniversary to Comic-Con Revolution, guys. But I wanted to ask you this because for many people that don't know, basically she also did My Little Pony Friendship is Magic's Twilight Sparkle, which I really love your character. I always wanted to ask this, if Twilight Sparkle ever met Bubbles, what would their conversation be?
Wait, pull the string on this one?
Dear Princess Celestia, today I met a girl named Bubbles. Hi, Twilight! Do you want to come play with me? We can do some coloring. First you take some pink, and then some blue.
Can you please come pick her up? Your faithful student at Twilight Sparkle.
Thank you, Carla!
Someone's so good at doing that.
I hope so. We'll get you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey Tara, my name is Steven. I want to ask, what do you hope we learn about Miss Minutes in the next season of Loki?
Miss Minutes. Yeah, then talk about that a little bit, how you got that and what you were told, because I know Marvel's super secretive, so it must be difficult to audition.
Very. So I was actually in Toronto shooting the Pretty Hard Cases show, and I get this audition that doesn't really say what it's for. And normally they tell you what it's for, and they'll give you a drawing of the character, a character description, sometimes a show Bible about the world, and sides, which is a portion of the script that you read for this audition. And the more information you get as the actor, the more you can put into your performance. Like if you know your character has braces or is from England, like you want to read all these things so that you're paying attention to what they're looking for. It's actually like you have to use your brain.
I know people think that I don't, but I do have to use my brain.
Every day. I audition every single day.
Yeah, that's another thing I don't think everyone understands
Like,
about voiceover
can you believe they
actors.
don't just give me everything at this point?
I'm shocked. Can you just like show them your Wikipedia page and say, hello?
Hello, have you met me?
Do a Shelley Winters and put your awards in front of them.
I'm teasing you, kind of. Anyway, so I get this audition. I don't know what it's for, and they weren't sure in the stage directions if this character was sentient or not. And I do like a lot of like Siri type voices. I don't know if you guys saw me as the singing refrigerator on Modern Family. I was a singing refrigerator.
Wow.
Thanks to the one person that saw me.
I saw it, I didn't know what
Anyway, I like doing that. Like I'll do auditions where I'll be like, you know, you have 5 seconds to evacuate, 5, 4, and people are like, did you do that or did you do something? And I'm like, no, I'm just doing that. So I like doing that, is what I'm trying to say. So they weren't sure how like robotic or sentient she was going to be, so I did like 3 different versions and one of them having an accent. And I think they went with the accent because it's such a hilarious spin that she's so cute. And her voice is so cute and like, hey y'all, like that's synonymous with y'all come back now, like comfort. But she's telling you if you don't do what I say, you could die. Right? So it's kind of funny that she's saying all this terrifying stuff as an adorable clock.
And it's also very retro because
Yeah.
it's very 50s, even the sets and everything, you don't know this
I
ahead of time.
love like how they, Kate Harrington and everyone, I just love how they designed it. It's so, so beautiful. But I didn't really know what it was until I booked it. And I was on the Zoom with the team from the Marvel Universe. Hi, Zoom people. And they explained it to me. I'm like, oh my God. And then they've already shot everything. So I'm looking at the footage of Tom Hiddleston talking to like a paper or something or other. He didn't know it was going to be my voice at that time. So hopefully this season I get to like be there to like read off camera or maybe on camera.
It's motion capture.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I know she's coming back for sure, but I really don't know anything else.
So since you don't know anything else, this is great. We can actually answer his question. What do you want her to be like? Do you want?
I want it to be me.
you want like when they made the TARDIS a human person, they want it was you.
Yes, right? Don't you think that'd be so fun?
So you want Miss Minutes to become a real girl?
This girl.
Yeah, that's the real part.
Right.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
This very young girl with her hand up right there, yes, next to the guy with the weird hair. What was the last voice you did besides your own?
Oh. Well, for sure I did a few auditions yesterday, but I can't do those because they're new, so I can't talk about that. Last job I did was Teen Titans. We had a Teen Titans Go session on Friday. Good question.
There you go.
Love you, thanks.
Awesome.
Anybody else with any questions? Where? Oh, behind. I don't even believe he exists. Oh, it's like Jurassic Park. If I don't see you, you're not there. What's the question?
So my question would be for like, I don't know if you remember. Well, yeah, of course you're gonna remember. Arizona from TFH, those fighting herds. No?
She does 600 voices. Minimum.
Yeah.
Then you think about all the episodes. So what's your question? We'll get right to the heart of it.
Well, the question was like for the video game companies, like when they scout you when they're in any company, like how do they went through it? They went through your agent for that voice, or
Yeah, the booking of a video game voiceover is the same procedure as booking a voiceover audition of any kind. You know, they'll either come to my agent with an offer, or I have to audition in my home studio. Thank God I have a home studio. I do like all my auditions in my pajamas.
Well, I was going to say, he's actually he's a covert millionaire who's hiring, so that's why he's asking that question. If you have we'll get you the contact information later.
I'm actually looking for covert billionaires at this point.
How has, now you recently overcame COVID, but how has the whole COVID situation in general changed the voiceover auditions? Has it changed much for you at all?
Oh yeah, we don't, first of all, I feel so lucky because I know a lot of people had a very hard time, especially in the beginning of COVID with things shutting down. It's like devastating. And voiceover is like the only thing that didn't stop in my world. Like if you were already set up with a home studio and you were ready to go, it was like the show is still going on. And the only thing that changed is that we're all virtual. We're all virtual now.
But you already had a home studio, so you were ready to go, so it was no big deal. You were excited.
So lucky. I'm so lucky.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you don't have problems with the trash on Fridays and Amazon with the dee, dee, dee. You got everything soundproof proofed in there?
I hope so.
I know that here at Academia people in Texas have had problems with that. So like,
Yeah,
every day is garbage day.
if it's your job, you got to make sure it's soundproof.
Gentlemen in the back.
Can you tell us a good story working with EJ Daly?
So E.G. Daly and I actually just saw her last night. First time I ever heard of her existence, I was meeting with an agent when I first moved from Toronto, and the guy's like, oh, you're like a young E.G. Daly. And I was like, I didn't know who that was. But really, we're the same person. She's just 10 years older than me. That's it. But we're the same person. Like, we have the same careers. We have very similar life experiences. People confuse us all the time. So we really kind of are soul sisters in this universe. And the first time I met her was at a Rugrats session. And there's a lot of animation in Toronto, but not classic Chupo. And I remember seeing the Rugrats and like, oh my gosh, I'd love to be on that. Like that's such a cool, I love the original 2D drawing, right? Like the original drawing, so cool. I was like, oh, I just want to be on that show, that's really cool. And then the first time I met her, I think I may have said like, oh, they told me I'm the young you, which is like a really horrible thing to say. I think that might have been the first thing I said.
I'm your replacement, hi! You're no longer needed.
Anyway, I was so starstruck. She's like beautiful and brilliant, and she like almost delivered a baby during a Rugrats session. So, but we're brothers on Rugrats and we're sisters on Powerpuff Girls and we're friends in real life. And maybe funny story, she used to think she could nurse her baby while we were recording. Don't know how many moms are here or people that witnessed that, but it is not quiet. You'd be like recording and you just hear each. Maybe let someone else hold the baby to finish this scene. That's probably the funny story.
Are you doing your character's voice with something in their teeth? What is that noise?
Yeah.
All right, in the black, not black gentleman, the gentleman in the black shirt in the back. That was, man, things that almost got Me Too canceled.
You did two Sabrina the Teenage Witch live action movies. What were your memories of kind of doing that as compared to voice acting?
I had so much fun.
And it's such an iconic show too.
Right? Oh my god, I'm so happy you liked it. First of all, Sabrina Goes to Rome, I think is such a good fun movie. Like it's so cute. And you know, I'd been in LA a few years and then to book this part where they're going to pay you to fly to Italy. Okay, that sounds great. And I'd never been to Italy. And, you know, it was like, they took such amazing care of us. Paula Hart, who's Melissa's mom, is the executive producer on that, and like, flew us all first class and really made sure we all had like, beautiful hotel rooms. Like, we were so spoiled already. And how fun is that to be doing like a movie of the week and you have magical powers, so there's all this like, CG cool stuff, and you're beside Melissa Joan Hart, like, and we're in Italy, like, wow, this is amazing. Like, how does that happen? It was pretty great, and it's so much fun, and it's fun to shoot on location, and it's fun to like learn other cultures. Like, I would start taking the train places and speaking Italian to people, and I fell so in love with it. It was so amazing. If you ever get a chance to go to Italy, you say yes. Yeah, that was fun.
So my question is, why aren't you doing more live action stuff? Because you definitely have the talents and the skills and everything you need.
You sound like my mom.
I'm sure me and your mom have a lot in common.
Well, she's in heaven, so not too much in common. Well, that's a slow roll. But she used to say this, she'd be like, how come you're not booking more? I'm like, let me call Hollywood. Hello, Hollywood?
No, I'm asking, is that a conscious decision? Because
I love doing both so much. I just have become more famous for my voiceover stuff, and I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. It's not that easy to maintain a career at 49 in Hollywood. So I feel very blessed to do that. But I do love doing both. So if I had the opportunity to do both forever, I would.
Now I understand why Miss Minutes should be coming to life.
Hello.
Get on the phone. Kevin Feige, where is he?
Hello, Hollywood.
Let's go to this young lady up front.
When you started your career, did you take classes for your voice? How do you take care of your voice, or just a natural talent that you have?
Good question. So yes, it's a natural talent that I have. But I also take care of it. I never smoked. I don't like go places where I'm screaming a lot, and I don't have any dairy because that's a whole other conversation, but it's also not good for you. I did take acting lessons very young because I wanted to be an actress. And I love those classes. So I always recommend for people to take scene study and acting classes and improv classes. I think are really important. By the way, when I was studying Second City, Toronto, there were people there that were bankers, that were in other lines of work, that wanted to feel more confident talking, like, just, you know, without thinking about it. And it's like this sort of beautiful, fun place to meet people and be silly and free. And I always tell people that are interested in voiceover to take an improv class, because you learn how to make characters really fast. Because like you said, some shows, they'll be like, oh, can you do an extra little boy here, a little girl here, whatever. And you just have to be like ready to jump in, so that helps with confidence. And singing lessons. I've taken singing lessons since I was a kid. I still take it. It's a muscle. You want to work it out, you know. And also, you can improve your range and your ear. Most voiceover artists are singers and have good ears.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a voiceover artist. Gentleman in the back with the gloved hand, like he's going to say anything and hold a boombox. Go ahead. Speak up.
Teen Titans Go. What's your favorite episode?
Teen Titans Go. Favorite episode.
Lady
Go.
Legacy. Lady Legacy. What do you mean? Of course. Of course.
Well, that one was a quick one. Right up front.
Oh, I'm a huge fan. Are there any characters that you've always wanted to voice that you haven't had the chance to voice yet? On a wish list.
Well, I've never been on The Simpsons. That would be fun.
Oh.
Really? Yeah. I know, weird. I did Family Guy, I've done Futurama. I've never done The Simpsons. I had a really funny part of Futurama. Did you see it?
On Futurama?
I got to tap dance on Bender.
Okay. I have seen all the Futuramas. It's just almost like Modern Family. I know exactly that episode you're talking about. I didn't know that was you.
That's me.
So, yeah. And it's because I noticed that the animation world is not as big as the live action world. It's like a nice little tight-knit family. You kind of all know each other. Do they not know over there it's The Simpsons that you wouldn't like to be on there? Or is it?
I mean,
have you not dropped the hint?
Well, the other thing is once you have a core cast that are very versatile, like Fairly Odd Parents, we rarely had guest cast. We would all be doing all the extra characters. When we did, it would be like the regular guest cast people we would have, which would be like Dee Baker, Carlos Alazraki. They would come in, and Jeff Bennett. But other than that, it wasn't like open to a million people because, you know, in voiceover for the Screen Actors Guild, which is our union, they can pay one actor for up to 3 different characters. So they're going to pick someone who's versatile that can do 3 different characters. That's going to save them a lot of money. So once you have a cast like that, it's not common that they keep bringing in other voice actors. You know what I mean? Like they probably have everyone they need, and then it's The Simpsons. They have, you know, A-list celebrities wanting to do it. So I don't know that they care. Response to that.
I bet you if Matt Groening knew that you wanted to be in it, it would happen. So if anybody knows Matt Groening, give him a call. Put him on social media. The gentleman who's very ashen looking in the back with the mask, next to Wolverine, who's kind of a sleepy Wolverine.
I'm a kindergarten teacher. This is normal.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just came right from class.
Do you think about Toastmasters? You said you were talking about some improv, like doing some like iOS, for example, or creating characters and stuff like that. What about Toastmasters?
Do you know what Toastmasters is? I'll answer this one. I know this one very well. So Toastmasters is great if you absolutely have no idea how to speak in front of people. What they kind of do is like the Marines. They strip you down of all your talent and then rebuild you so you'll speak in front of people. So it's really great. It's a great way for people who are business owners who aren't really trying to be funny.
Sounds terrible.
Well, as a professional speaker, it kind of is. They really do. It's very much they have a process where you get dinged if you say which is crazy. Where they want you to be a certain type. So it's just a kind of surefire way of making.
What is it? It's a class?
It's a club. It's a Toastmasters club where you toast and you get up and you.
Did we jump into another dimension?
Yeah. Have you guys heard about this? I've never heard about this. It's been around forever.
It's like when I found out Lizzo was like dope at playing flute. I'm like, where have I been?
So I can see where it comes in handy very much, but for someone with, no offense, someone with talent, it is actually probably not as useful. The improv is much better.
It sounds terrible to me. I don't want to diminish it because I don't know anything about it or anyone who's done it. But
improv would be much better.
It sounds terrible to strip yourself of your own.
It's for people who don't speak very often and they just want to be able to give us a quick speech in front of their folks. I'm
going to remain not answering because I don't know enough about this.
Very smart. I have no problems because I don't have a career. So thanks. We'll go over here because I've been kind of avoiding. Is there anybody behind the podium I don't know about? There is. There's a girl in the yellow mask who just turned around. Yes. How long can you go with your high-pitched voice before you got to take a break?
That's a good question. But I can do it like a really long time. Like I can do bubbles for a really long time and it doesn't hurt at all. But with that said, like if you're playing a video game for 4 hours and it's just you talking, even if it's not this high and you're not doing a million test sounds, you're gonna get tired.
Where do you find the ancillary sounds, the ones where you have to, because when it's high pitched, you've got to, you're doing all that for video games. How do you find it so it's because
You have to match your voice.
I know.
You have to know how your character does everything. How they sneeze, how they cough, how they sleep, how they grab things, how they fall. You have to imagine it in your head. You always have to match it. You can't be Timmy Turner and then sing like Celine Dion, right? Stay in character.
Has there ever been a situation where you had to do it like 6 or 7 times to get it right, where you're just like, I don't have
6 or 7? I don't know.
I know you're a professional, so I know that they...
I will say that most big voice actors will get it right between 1 and 3 unless there's an action we don't know. Like if the line is whoa, and we think it's a hot guy, but you're really falling off a cliff, it's going to be a different line, right?
Yeah,
but sometimes, like, oh, let's try it this way, let's try it this way. Sometimes it's like many takes. And if it's someone that you don't work with a lot, like on a feature film, and they want to get everything covered, it can be a lot. Can't be a lot.
And we'll do one more on that side, right there in the white shirt.
How do you avoid getting pigeonholed into the same voice? Because I know that happens to some people. Is that something that's more on
typecasting,
or is that more of a direct
I think
decision?
for me personally, I've found more that as like a career thing, like pigeonholed as a voiceover artist as opposed to, oh, she could also come do this Broadway show or she could do this series. So I think that's the only place I've found it. And I think it's probably because the characters that I've booked have been so versatile that it would be pretty stupid of them to put me in a voice box. Ooh, I kind of like that. Because there's no, I mean, I could do, an old lady like on Truffles, and then I'm doing a baby on Rugrats and everything in between. So they're not going to put, there is no box to put, there's no box big enough for me. But I sympathize with that as a problem because that is another part of Hollywood. They do the same thing with soap opera actors or commercial actors as well as writers. If you've been known for writing comedy and you suddenly want to do a horror, you might not get taken seriously. So it's like constantly proving yourself over and over. So if it happens to you in your world and you want to branch out of what you're known for, you just got to keep trying.
Yeah, it took forever for television actors to be able to do movies. And now it's not that much of a big deal, but I don't think people understand that the entertainment industry is not as imaginative, especially in the office part. They just say, oh, it's Tara Strong, she's a great voice actress. That's it. You're now locked in, and you've got to... if she goes on Loki and does a great job as Miss Minutes in real life, then all of a sudden she's going to be, everything's going to be, she's going to be these animated people who come to life. And she'll put her in a box. It's really weird how they really don't, they just have laser focus. Because it is a business. They just want to make sure it's a guaranteed slam dunk. Which it would be if you hired Tara Strong, so remember that.
I think so.
Right up front.
Could you speak a little bit about when you're voicing a character that maybe doesn't really use words, that uses more like sounds? I'm thinking some baby characters you've done. But.
Yeah, so I just recently did my first Rugrats since the reboot.
Yeah.
And all my lines used to be in the stage directions. It was like Baby Dill steals Tommy's toy, hits him in the head with it, does a poop, goes to sleep, whatever. So I'd be like, like that would be my lines. I got paid to do that.
And she's not on Broadway.
Anyways, my scripts would be wet because sometimes I'd be like, and I'm picturing all the action in my mind, and sometimes there's a physicality to that within the parameters of the microphone. And so now we actually see digital of the scripts and digital images of each scene. So there's no more paper, which is good because it's saving trees, but it's a whole new way to look at it now that everything's all digital. And I was like, doing the voices and watching the stuff happen live, which you couldn't do before.
Right.
When we first did Rugrats, it was all on paper. You had to flip through pages and pages of storyboards, and now it's live and you can watch it. And it's fun. I was like, oh, it's good to put this old diaper back on.
Yeah, the previs has gotten quite more helpful for you.
Yeah, and so it's nice to see some of the action, but yeah, I mean, you really have to read everything in the stage directions always. And if any of you are auditioning, that's going to set you apart too. If you missed in the stage directions because you're just focusing on your lines, that you're actually running after a bad guy here, or you're getting shot, or that's going to change how your voice sounds. So you want to be someone that pays attention to that, so that the people casting go, oh, this person pays attention. I think I answered
young lady
questions.
Yeah, you did. Young lady in the cape.
I'm a guy. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. The red cape.
Oh, so
I'll get you next. I promise.
Say out of state, but you're an actor and you're like in the biz, and let's say you get an audition.
In the biz. I like
In the
that.
biz. You get an audition. Will they like fly you out if it's in a different state or something?
Well, if you're doing voiceover work, you could be anywhere. That COVID has opened that wide open. Like a lot of my friends have left LA because you can record from anywhere. If you're going to book an on-camera show, then they'll fly you out because you have to be on set, wherever that may be. But voiceover stuff, most of it can be remote.
Yeah, get your little booth and then you're all set to go.
Yeah.
Now the creepy young lady or gentleman in the front who looks sad.
Who's your favorite Teen Titans character, excluding Raven?
So the question was, because I could barely hear it as well, but it's the who's your favorite Teen Titan? I guess who's not you. She has one, but she's not going to say it, I think. Otherwise it would be.
Oh, I hate Twin Minutes Beast Boy.
I love these boys.
I just love them all so much, and we've been a family. We've been recording that show together over 20 years. We've been through so much life together, marriage, divorces, children, like life. It was Greg Sipes' first cartoon. He was really green. And we've grown, like, we've had so much life together that we love each other so much, and I think that really translates in the show, how much we authentically love each other. Nobody works harder than Scott Menville, who voices Robin. He, like, is screaming and, like, into it and reads his scripts up all the time, and, like, he is the leader with his baby hands. He's so good, he's so well behaved, right? And then is Hinden, who's like, she's amazing, she's Starfire, she's just, what's better than Starfire? She's the sweetest. And then there's Kari, who's so cool, like, Walking Dead, hello? Like, suddenly he's like this huge, iconic guy, and Cyborg is such a great character. I love Cyborg. So it's like, it's so hard to choose, but he's my Beast Boy, you know? And he gets to turn into animals, and animals are my favorite thing ever.
Yeah. How often do you guys actually get to be in the same room? Because that doesn't seem to be something that happens very much anymore.
Before COVID, we were together every Friday, but now we're on Zoom.
But you're still together.
Yeah.
So because I know that sometimes you're isolated in a booth and you just have to do it and listening to someone else.
Yeah, a lot of times we do it alone, but Titans we do together.
Oh, that's great. Any questions back here? Batman.
There, your home studio. What's your recording software?
Nerd question. Nerd question. Let's get technical.
Podcasters
are listening.
I like to record in Twisted Wave.
Okay.
It's just the easiest. I find it the easiest.
Sigwave's a microphone. This is the type of microphone?
No, that's the recording program.
Oh, you wanted to know what the recording program was?
I answered that right? That's what you wanted to know?
You did, okay.
Okay, what kind of microphone?
Yeah, so that's where I was going.
I have a Neumann TL, whatever, you know. Yes, thank you. Are you an engineer?
Yes, and last one, what do you use for sound dampening?
Well, I've got really dope stuff all over the place.
You got the eggshells and
Yeah,
stuff like that?
I got dope stuff
Because
everywhere.
I know some people recording in their closets in the clothes.
I've done that. I did Loki like that in my closet in Toronto. Like I couldn't build an actual studio. I had sheets and all kinds of stuff up.
And it sounded great, so look at that. We only got about 4 minutes left, so I saw your hand go shoot up there in the man in blue.
I'll be at my table the rest of the day too, so if you don't get something answered, just come see me.
What's the voice that's in your head when you're just walking around the house?
Okay. Why must there only be one? It's never just one. You guys talk to yourselves, right? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Oh, we do.
Imagine having that many people weighing in on things. That's my life. I told you I'm crazy.
Yeah, we're starting to learn that.
Sometimes I'll be like,
Oh, you shouldn't have been like that to that person. They're like, what are you talking about? There was an asshole. You're gonna kick his booty.
whatever, let's just chill out.
No, I wish you'd kick his butt.
You know, it's like that all day.
Are you ever truffles walking around the house?
No, because
does my butt look that big? Have 3 truffles running around. You go.
So, what is your family? How is their reaction to you?
when my kid was 10, he's like, you know, Mom, some kids will never know if their moms really love them. And I'll never know my mom's real voice.
So, like, I've been married for 20 years. My wife's kind of sick of my stuff. My jokes aren't nearly as funny anymore. So, are your voices getting? Are they still? They love you for you,
yes,
or do they?
And also they love when their friends are fans. Like now, my kids are 20 and 17, believe it or not. And like just this last month, my son was visiting his friend in New York, and they're like, "Mom, can you do your voice from Boondocks?" And I'm like, he's never asked for that before. But like the kids they were with were like huge Boondocks fans. And Drawn Together, which he's never watched. So like now suddenly I'm cool again. Because like the college guys like Boondocks and Drawn Together.
So I have enough time for one more really good, we've already had one, so put your hand
Okay.
up. One really good question, so I'm going to go with the Marty McFly. I think that's why you're here for Claudia Wells, is that why you dressed up like that?
Mix.
Kind of a mix, all right. So you have a really good question?
Depends. What's the definition of good?
Not bad.
Okay, good.
All right. Is it written down? I see you got your phone and everything.
No, it's not written down.
Okay.
Out of all the companies you worked with, like, because I know Paramount gave you Timmy Turner, Warner Bros. Gave you Harley Quinn, and Disney gave you Miss Minutes. Out of all the 6 big media companies you worked with, which one's your favorite?
Oh, she's still going to answer that question. That's a bad question. She loves them all.
You can pick the 50 you want.
What is your favorite company to work for?
I will say I've been in situations where I'm really, really well taken care of, and it feels really nice. Because like I said before, for the most part, the fans are what really makes us feel important. So sometimes Hollywood forgets about us in that way. So I've had both good and bad experiences. I don't know, I mean, over the years. Like, it was really cool to, like, ring the NASDAQ bell for Twilight Sparkle. Like, that was cool. You know, they put me up in a nice hotel. Like, those kind of things are, like, fun perks. And it's like, oh, they think we're special for a little bit. I'd say, like, lately, Disney is really stepping up because the MCU, like, they, you know, emailed me and asked if I wanted to go to the Doctor Strange premiere. I'm like, yes, I do. Like, and my son was at the carpet with me, and he saw like the producers talking to me, and he's like, Mom, you're like in with these people.
You got instant cred when Kevin Feige comes over just to say hello.
Right.
Yeah. Nice.
So, yeah, I think Disney's doing a really good job. But they've all, I mean, most of the big players do well, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't.
Well, it's nice to hear that the big Disney, the evil empire,
Yeah.
supposedly, is taking care of their talent.
They're taking good care of us, yeah.
Well, she is here both days, correct? Yep, and she will be at her booth. So autographs, photographs, selfies. She is here all weekend long. So please give a big, warm Comic-Con Revolution hand to the great